Right, so let's get started. Okay, so math revision for term 1, we're going to start off with prime numbers. Prime numbers are numbers that have only two factors. The two factors that it has is 1 and itself. So if I give you an example, 5 is made up of 1 times 5 and 5 times 1. But if I ask you for 20, what numbers makes 20 if you times them together? So 1 times 20, which is itself, 2 times 10 gives me 20. Does 3 go in there? No, it doesn't. So then we try, okay, 4. Can 4 go into 20? Yes. How many times? 5 times. And then you see it's 4 and 5, so you can't go any further because there's no number after 4 other than 5 that can go equally into 20. So you see that this has 1, 2, 3 factors times 2, so 6 factors. Because if you want to, you can even swap them around. So let's swap them quickly. So in total, this number has 6 factors. So this has 2 because it's got 1 and 5 and 5 and 1. But if you need to, you can always just group it, because these are the official factors. These are exactly the same, they've just been swapped around. So that means that that's not actually going to be used. You can keep it this way if you would like to. Alright, so let's try another number and let's see if it is actually a prime number. So let's see if, okay, even numbers usually have no prime numbers in them except for 2. 2 is the only number that is a prime number. So 1 is also not a prime number or a composite number. So you actually can't use that either. Let's see. What about 21? Because that's an odd number, right? So 21. 1 times 21 gives me 21. 2 times no. 3 can actually go into 21. 3 times 7 gives me 21. 4, no. 5, no. 6, no. So it's actually got 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's actually got 4 factors, so it's actually not going to be a prime number. So I'm going to cross out the ones that are not prime numbers. These are then called composite numbers because they are not prime numbers. Prime numbers are numbers that can only have 2 factors. So if you get something which is 1 times a number, then that will be your prime number. So 2 is the only even prime number, which would be 1 times 2 or 2 times 1. 3 is also a prime number. Let's see, 11 is a prime number. And you can keep going and finding others that are like this. So all of these are actually the prime numbers. Right, so these are called prime numbers. Now, if you look, we've actually used factors inside of here. Factors are numbers that create a number through timesing. So if I need to explain to you what is a factor is numbers that create another number. So if I ask you for the factors of 36, okay, so we need to find the factors of 36. That means what creates 36. So then if I talk about the multiples are when you are counting in that number. So if I ask you for the factors of 36, I'm going to ask you for what numbers actually create that number. So 1 times 36. So we can write it as factors of 36, 1 and 2 and 3, but then you get a bit confused. So I like doing it this method. so that I can actually see what my numbers are and then put it in a neat format. So I can do 36. 1 times 36 gives me 36. 2 times 18. 3 times 12. 4 times 9. And 6 times 6 is 36. Okay, so then we've got all of those. So instead of me now guessing, I can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And I don't need to rewrite 6 again. I can just keep it there. And then I write 9, 12, 18, 36. 9, 12, 18, and 36. Okay, so that is when I am doing factors of 36. If I want to do multiples, you will always hear that they are going to start asking you for a set amount of numbers. So they're going to ask you for the first 4 numbers. So that means that you are counting in 36 4 times. Right, so what happens is we're going to say m for multiples of 36. So that means we're going to count in 36. So 36 times 1 is 36. So then you're going to, either you can times it by 2 or you can add another 36. So if you want to, you can go 36 plus 36, or you can go 36 times 2. Either way, you will get the same answer. Okay, so it will be 72, 108, and then the last one will be 144. And that gives you the multiples of 36 and the factors of 36. So if you want to, what you can do is you can choose any other number. Choose any other number and then you try and find the factors of it, and then you do the first 4 or 5 multiples of that number. Try and use a bigger number so that you can get as many factors as possible. Right, so then you're going to get common factors and common multiples. So common factors is usually they're going to ask you for the highest, or they can ask you for the lowest common factor. Whenever you are doing fractions, they will actually ask you for the lowest common factor. So that means the factor that is exactly the same in both of your questions that they've asked you for. So if I'm asking for the factors of 6 and the factors of 10, I want to see which ones are exactly the same first, and then after that I'm going to look for the highest one, and then I'm going to look for the lowest common factor between all of them. Right, so I found the factors of 6 and 10. But now I need to see which one is the highest. So if I look here, the common ones is 1, 2. And then I've got, let's see, nothing else. I've got nothing else that is the same. So my highest common factor is actually 2. If they ask you by some chance what the lowest common factor between these two are, then you're going to say it is 1. How we usually write this is H for highest common factor of 6 and 10 is 2. That's usually how we write it. Then if we are asking for the multiples, so let's do the same numbers. So we've got the multiples. They will usually ask you for a limited amount. So they will say the first 5 multiples of each, and then sometimes they might actually ask you what numbers are between certain numbers, or what multiples are between certain numbers. So if I'm asking you for the multiples between 20 and 50, that means it must not touch 20 or 50. So if I want to find the multiples of 6 and multiples of 10. Let's do the first 5. So we've got 1 times 6, is 6. So it's 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and 36. So those are my first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 multiples. Let me go to 10. So let's go to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, I'm just going to make it even. But if you did this in a test and they only asked you for 5, it will be wrong because that would not be included. That is why I'm doing it for you, so that you can see what they would do in the test. The whole entire thing would have been marked as wrong. So it's the same thing if they ask you for numbers between 20 and 50. Okay, so let's complete this so that we can actually get the numbers between 20 and 50. And then I will circle them so that you know which ones are actually correct. So we've got 36. There's 50 already, so we don't need to worry about tens. 36, 42. Right, so as you can see, we've got into past 20 and close to 50. So now we are going to circle all of the ones that are between 20 and 50. So it does not touch 20 and it does not touch 50. So then in the tens, which is the easiest, we've got 30 and 40. For the sixes, we've got 24, 30, 36, 42, and 48. Then how you would write this is the lowest common multiple of 6 and 10. Which one is exactly the same? So if you see, we've got 30 there and 30 there, so the lowest common multiple would be 30. If you need to rewrite this, we have to write all the ones in between 20 and 50. Then we're going to say the multiples of 6 between 20 and 50 is 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. The multiples of 10 between there is 30 and 40. And like I said, if they ask you for the common multiple of those, would be 30. If you look here, there's also no other common multiple other than 30 and 30, even if there was no restriction added. Alright, and the last part in this section that we are going to do is prime factorization. So prime factorization is basically when they ask you for the factors of a number. So we're going to look for the factors of a number, and then we're going to see all the factors that are prime numbers. And then after that, we are basically just going to multiply them together so that we can see that they are actually creating the same number. But it's all just with prime numbers. So let's think of a big number. Let me think. 156 might work. So let's do 156. Okay. If it doesn't work, I'm so sorry. So we're going to take 156. You can use your calculator, and you are going to basically just check all the numbers that create 156. So I'm going to use my pencil. We've obviously got 1 times 156. We've got 156 divided by 2. So 2 can go into the number. So 2 times 78 gives me 156. Can 3 go? Yes, it can. So we're going to go 52. 156 divided by 4. And that even goes. So you keep going and you keep trying until you've gotten all the factors. Okay, so now what I've done is I've found all of the prime factors, or all of the factors, that create 156. So now what we need to do is we need to find all the prime factors. So if I look here, you can choose any pair, but I'm going to choose 12 and 13 because those are the smallest numbers. So if I take 12 and 13, okay, is 12 a prime number? Yes or no? No, it's not. So I need to see what numbers create 12. So what numbers actually create 12? 2 times 6 and 3 times 4. Doesn't matter, but those are the easiest ones. Is 13 a prime number? Yes, it is. Then what we are going to do, so keep that in mind. Then what we are going to do is we're going to split this up. Make sure that these are also prime numbers. 2 is a prime number? Yes. 3 is a prime number? Yes. 6 is not and 4 is not. 4 is made up of 2 times 2. 6 is made up of 2 times 3. Gives me 6. So what I then have to create 12, if you look here, I've got 2, 2, and 3. 2 times 2 times 3. And then also the same here, 2 times 2 times 3. So I've got 2 times 2 times 3, and that will give me 12. So I've now got my 12, which was there, and I've got my 13. So my final answer, my final answer to show you my prime factorization would be 2 times 2 times 3 times 13. 2 times 2 times 3 times 13. Those are my prime factors that create 156. You can even try it, and then you can type this into your calculator. So we can go 2 times 2 times 3 times 13, 156. Are we correct? Yes, we are. So then we know that these are actually my prime factors. These are the numbers that create, these are factors of 156, but they are all prime numbers. So this would be my prime factorization.